What you think about when you're born into a fire? Let 'em burn it out. Sell 'em to the richest buyer. They wanna let the world decay. They tell us lies and fade away, fade away. We feel betrayed. We were raised to lose the race. Wake at the back of the trap, kill it anyway.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. We're starting a new series today, and today I'm playing the student dork as we ask our resident professor dork a bunch of questions about Horizon lore to get you guys prepped for Forbidden West. So if you guys have any questions for our resident professor dork, leave them down in the comments below and we will definitely add them in our next videos. So, without further ado, if you guys want any more Forbidden West content, get subscribed to the channel. We'll have all kinds of Let's Plays for the new game and a lot more of this series. And now, let's get into it. So, good sir, my first question for you. Where did Aloys Tribe come from, and like who are they? Give us some background.
So one of Gaia's subfunctions, Aletheia, was responsible for repopulating the world with humans, right? The ninth facility, the rest of which are scattered across the rest of the world, but the ninth, which is known to the Nora as All Mother Mountain, and is known to the Old Ones as Aletheia 9 Cradle Facility. This one raised the generation of, or rather, they're supposed to raise a generation of humans once the biosphere was stabilized. Unfortunately, due to the destruction of Apollo by the world's largest asshole, Pharaoh, these kids were unable to partake of the Old One's knowledge and were then released from the facility towards the end of their adolescence. So over the course of subsequent generations, this population grew. Some people moved on away from the cradle facility. The ones that stayed around that area, they became the Nora. The ones that moved north, they became the Banuk. Some headed west and settled by the Spire, Minerva's Spire, the one that broadcast the shutdown signal. They became the Karja. Some went even further and went off to the coast. Those people became the Utaru and the Tanakh. We'll see them more in the next game.
Yeah, okay.
Some people settled to the northwest and they became the Oseram. It's a whole, Adam and Eve situation. The whole of the known population can trace their ancestry to a fixed number in a given location, specifically that first generation of humans that were released from the cradle facility.
Oh, right.
Aloy, however, was gestated as a clone of Elizabeth Sobek in response to Hades going rogue. Right? So the facility, already lacking the resources to raise her, because it spent all of its resources on the first generation and had to release them prematurely because they couldn't partake of Apollo. So the facility, after raising her to infancy, or rather gestating her to infancy, left her as an infant on the cradle facility's doorstep to be discovered by the matriarchs. So as a result of this cloning thing, Aloy, as a genetic clone of the Old Ones, cannot actually trace her lineage to the first generation of humans that was released from Aletheia 9. And as such, has no actual genetic ancestors post-Zero Day.
Wow. That's gotta be kind of creepy, or like, not creepy, kind of freaky, huh? To like be around a bunch of people who are like a totally different generation and you have like no familial connection to any of them because you're from a totally different, almost...
Well, like it is kind of strange. Or rather, it would feel strange to someone like you or I because we have the experience of a life amongst, quote, family. But Aloy, because of the circumstances of her birth, the matriarchs who discovered her, and it had to have been the matriarchs because they're the only ones who are allowed access to All Mother Mountain. So they're the only ones who could have found her. And Tirsa, who sided with us, or not sided with us, sided with Aloy, believing her to be a blessing from All Mother. But what's her name? Lansra, the other matriarch, believed Aloy to be a curse sent by the Metal Devil, and wanted Aloy gone, executed, or I don't know about executed, but believing her to be a curse, she didn't want nothing to do with her.
Right.
So they struck a compromise where Aloy was outcast from birth and given to Rost to raise.
Oh, right.
The other special case outcast. So it's indeed strange for her because she wasn't even aware that she has no genetic ancestors post Zero Day until well into the game proper. But as far as she's concerned, she knows that Rost isn't her father.
Right.
But she knows that Rost raised her. And everyone of the Nora before the Proving, or the adults who knew that she was outcast, know that she was outcast from childhood, call her motherless as a common insult. Which, the Nora being a matriarchal tribe is just, the gravest of insults.
Yeah, that's like getting slapped in the face after you've already been kicked to the floor, right? Like, it's... Yeah.
So,
wow. That is super cool, and also probably why she's such a badass.
well, yeah, the wilds raise robust people.
That's true, yeah. I mean, imagine for even this is kind of even similar to Ellie in Last of Us, right? People are born into very tough situations, grow up fast, I guess, or learn to
100%.
deal with things in a people who grew up in a cushy life. It's difficult.
Trauma has a way of making people grow incredibly fast.
Yeah.
Or rather, not grow, but have to bottle up everything about growing up to take on the role of a quote mature adult personality really, really quickly.
Yeah, you have a layer of tenacity that surrounds your innocent childhood, and it just kind of protects you from the small things that normal kids would cry about or get upset about or something like that. You have more rigidity and more tolerance for the everyday stresses of life, I guess, because that stuff probably doesn't bother you as much.
Well, I don't know if I'd call it tolerance. But yeah.
Well, yeah, maybe it's a mixture of that plus, actually, of course it is actually maturing a little bit quicker. I'm sure if you compare, even two people that grew up in two different parts of town or two different areas where, you're having someone who has to take on more responsibility at a much younger age. I wonder if I'm sure psychologists have even studied this, or neurologists, on maybe your brain even changes.
Oh yes, it does. It does.
Wow.
But I am not a psychologist or a neuroscientist, as you may have gathered. So that's all I'm going to say about the matter.
This is not medical advice, that's all we can give you.